Every morning at exactly 6:10 a.m., before the city fully woke up and before life could remind him how unfair it had been, Daniel Carter pushed open the small glass door of his corner cafe with one hand and held his daughter Lily's backpack with the other. The bell above the door chimed softly, the same sound it had made every day for 3 years. Daniel liked routines. Routines were safe. Routines didn't leave. After his wife died suddenly from an undiagnosed heart condition, routines were the only thing that didn't fall apart. Lily was 7 now, all sharp questions and quiet strength, the kind of child who grew up too fast but still smiled like she believed the world could be kind. Daniel made coffee for construction workers, office clerks, night shift nurses, and one woman who never ordered anything but hot water. She came every morning, rain or shine, summer heat or winter cold. She wore the same faded coat, shoes worn thin at the heels, hair tied back neatly as if she still cared how the world saw her. She always sat at the same small table near the window, hands folded, eyes lowered, waiting. The first time Daniel noticed her was on a freezing December morning when Lily tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, that lady looks hungry." Daniel didn't say anything. He just poured an extra cup of soup, placed a sandwich beside it, and told her quietly, "It's on the house." The woman looked up like she'd been startled awake. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, and deeply tired. "I didn't ask for this," she said softly. Daniel smiled the way tired people do when they're pretending they aren't tired. "I know," he replied. "But it's cold." She hesitated, then nodded once. "Thank you." That was all. She never asked for more. Never complained. Never explained herself. And Daniel never asked why. He gave her soup every morning. Sometimes a pastry. Sometimes coffee when he noticed her hands shaking. He never kept track. Kindness, to him, wasn't a transaction. Other customers noticed. Some whispered. Some judged. One man scoffed, "You can't save everyone." Daniel shrugged. "I'm not trying to." Lily started drawing pictures for the woman, small stick figures holding hands, a cafe with hearts floating above it. The woman always smiled at Lily, a real smile, not a polite one. "You're raising a good human," she once said to Daniel. "I'm trying," he replied. Weeks turned into months. Months into years. The woman never missed a morning. Daniel learned small things without asking. She liked her soup hot but not boiling, preferred bread without seeds, flinched at loud voices. Once, when a drunk man yelled at her for taking charity, Daniel stepped in calmly, voice steady, eyes firm. "She's a customer," he said. The man laughed. "She never pays." Daniel leaned closer. "She pays by being treated like a human being. Now leave." The drunk left. The woman watched Daniel for a long time after that. "You didn't have to do that," she said. Daniel wiped the counter. "Yes," he replied simply. "I did." Life outside the cafe was harder. Bills stacked up. The espresso machine broke twice. Lily needed braces. Daniel picked up extra shifts, slept less, smiled more. Some nights he wondered if kindness was a luxury he couldn't afford. But every morning at 6:10, when the bell chimed and the woman sat by the window, something inside him felt right. One Tuesday morning, she didn't come. Daniel felt the absence immediately. Lily asked, "Is the lady sick?" Daniel checked the window again and again. She didn't come the next day either. Or the next. A week passed. Daniel told himself not to worry. People disappeared all the time. That's what life had taught him. Then, on a quiet Friday morning, at exactly 6:10 a.m., the cafe door opened, but not with the soft chime he was used to. 4 men entered first. Tall. Broad. Suits pressed sharp enough to cut the air. Earpieces. Scanning eyes. The cafe fell silent. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. One man stepped aside. And then she walked in. Same woman. Same posture. But everything else was different. Her coat was gone, replaced by a tailored cream blazer. Her shoes gleamed. Her hair fell perfectly around her shoulders. Behind her walked two more men and a woman holding a leather folder. Lily stared, eyes wide. Daniel froze, coffee cup in his hand. The woman met his gaze. And for the first time in 3 years, she smiled without sadness. "Good morning, Daniel," she said gently. "We need to talk." And that's when the lead man stepped forward, cleared his throat, and said the words that made the entire cafe go silent. "Mr. Carter, I'm her legal counsel. If this story has already pulled you in, don't forget to subscribe, because what happens next will change everything." The price of kindness. Daniel's first instinct was embarrassment. The second was fear. Lawyers didn't walk into small cafes with bodyguards unless something had gone very wrong. His hands tightened around the counter. "I didn't do anything," he said quickly, voice low. Lily looked up at him, confused. The woman raised a hand gently. "No," she said. "You did everything right." She took the same seat by the window. The lawyers and bodyguards remained standing, forming a quiet wall behind her. The cafe manager from next door peeked in. Phones slowly lifted as customers began recording. Daniel hated attention. "Please," he said softly. "I'm working." The woman nodded. "Then let me speak quickly." She gestured to the lawyer. He opened the folder. "Mr. Carter," he began, "my client is Evelyn Hawthorne." The name meant nothing to Daniel. The lawyer continued. "She is the majority shareholder and former CEO of Hawthorne Health Group." Someone gasped. A man whispered, "That's a billion-dollar company." Daniel felt the room tilt. Evelyn looked down, almost embarrassed. "3 years ago," she said quietly, "I lost my son. He was Lily's age." Lily squeezed Daniel's hand. "After that," Evelyn continued, "I walked away from everything. The board. The money. The house. I needed to know who I was without it. I needed to know if people would still see me if I had nothing." Daniel swallowed hard. "So you pretended?" Evelyn shook her head. "I didn't pretend. I gave it all up. I lived on the streets. I listened. I watched. And every morning, I came here." She looked at him now, eyes shining. "You never asked who I was. You never filmed me. You never told anyone. You just helped." The lawyer slid a document across the counter. "Ms. Hawthorne has established a foundation in your daughter's name," he said. "It will cover Lily's education, health care, and living expenses for life." Daniel pushed the paper back. "I didn't do it for money." Evelyn smiled sadly. "I know. That's why I trust you." She leaned forward. "I want you to run the foundation. Not as a favor. As a partner." The cafe erupted into whispers. Daniel shook his head. "I'm just a guy who makes coffee." Evelyn's voice was firm now. "No. You're a man who taught my daughter, if she were still alive, that kindness exists without conditions." Tears slipped down her cheeks. Lily walked over and hugged Evelyn without hesitation. "My daddy's nice," she said simply. Evelyn closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she looked lighter. Free. Daniel finally nodded, not because of the money, but because he understood what she was really giving him, a chance to help others the way he always had. The lawyers stepped back. The bodyguards relaxed. Evelyn stood. "I'll still come every morning," she said softly. but I'll pay this time." Daniel smiled. Soup still on the house. The bell chimed as she left, and for the first time, it sounded different, like a beginning instead of an ending. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that kindness still matters, make sure you subscribe. Because stories like this deserve to be shared. The next morning, the cafe opened at the same time, but nothing felt the same. Daniel unlocked the door at 5:45 a.m. out of habit, though he'd barely slept. His mind replayed yesterday again and again: lawyers, bodyguards, whispered gasps, Lily's small arms wrapped around Evelyn Hawthorne like she'd known her forever. Money had a sound, Daniel realized. It sounded like silence when it entered a room, like everyone holding their breath. By 6 a.m., there was already a line outside the cafe. That never happened. Not on weekdays. Not ever. People weren't just here for coffee anymore. They were here to see him. To see them. Someone had uploaded a video. It had millions of views overnight. Poor woman turns out to be billionaire. Single dad's kindness changes everything. Headlines Daniel never asked for. Phones followed him as he poured coffee. Lily noticed first. "Daddy," she whispered, "why are they staring?" Daniel knelt beside her. "Because sometimes," he said gently, "people don't notice quiet good things until they're loud." Evelyn arrived without bodyguards this time. Simple coat. Same calm eyes. She smiled when she saw the crowd. "I was afraid of this," she admitted. Daniel nodded. "Me too." She sat at her usual table. A reporter tried to enter. Evelyn stood once, quietly, and said, "This is not a show. Please leave." They listened. That surprised everyone. Over the next weeks, the cafe became a symbol. People left notes. Envelopes. Stories of strangers who helped them once. Daniel read them late at night, realizing kindness had ripples. But with attention came pressure. Investors showed up. Opportunists. People who suddenly, always believed in him. Daniel hated it. One night, he told Evelyn, "I think I made a mistake." She shook her head. "No. You just stepped into light after living in truth. Light is louder." The foundation launched quietly. No press conference. Just action. Single parents received rent relief. Kids got school supplies. Soup kitchens expanded. Daniel insisted on visiting every place personally. "If we can't look people in the eye," he said, "we shouldn't help them." Evelyn watched him work and finally understood why she'd come to that cafe every morning. Not for food. For proof. One evening, Lily asked Evelyn, "Did you stop being sad?" Evelyn thought for a long time. "I learned to carry it differently," she answered. Daniel overheard that and felt something settle in his chest. Healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about continuing. The cafe bell still rang every morning. But now, when Daniel heard it, he didn't just hear survival. He heard purpose. And somewhere out there, millions of people were watching, not because of wealth or shock, but because one small act reminded them who they could be. If this chapter made you feel something, don't forget to subscribe, because the next chapter shows the cost of choosing kindness when the spotlight never turns off.